Hi, welcome to my final vlog for ECI 834. My honored guest here is Miss Amy Sandville, who is the principal of our online RCSD school, and she's agreed to let me ask her a few questions, and I'm really excited about this because I know that she has a lot of great things to share. So, Amy, welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. First of all, I'd like to just know, what are some of the pros and cons of teaching an online class?
Pros and cons of teaching. I think there's lots of benefits for teachers. It's a great opportunity. I think teachers get really excited to be kind of part of that cutting edge new technology. There's a lot of opportunity to be really creative. So I think teachers like the time to really build different activities and to really think about education in a different way. I know as an online teacher, I found that it really challenged me to think about instruction and assessment in a more deep, meaningful way. You can't just take classroom stuff and put PDFs into an online course and think it's going to translate properly. So you really have to think about different ways when you're taking away the time and space. How do you best share that information? I think it's an exciting way for teachers to be creative, and I know our teachers really like that opportunity. It also is really great because students have a different way to learn in online, and it's a way to see students be successful. And I think teachers get excited when there's a student who maybe was struggling in a traditional classroom and they're able to be successful in an online environment, and I think that's really a powerful opportunity for teachers. There definitely are challenges in an online environment. Some of it is that when you do take away those space and time that you would have in a physical classroom, although there is opportunity for student, there would also be a challenge. So one of it is just pacing. So it can be a challenge for teachers because students aren't always on the same pace. So you have students working in different assignments, so trying to kind of keep organized to make sure that you are providing quick feedback for students. Also really simple things, whereas in a class you might see a student struggling visually and it's a really quick just correction on the paper. You don't have that in online, so you may not know if a student's not engaging because they're making a choice not to engage or they're struggling. And sometimes too, when you're communicating electronically, there's opportunity for things to get lost in the translation, and it does take more time if you're trying to craft an email. Some of our teachers use video feedback, so they'll use Screencast-O-Matic to provide feedback, and even then you need to do a second take, and so that just takes time. So sometimes the quick feedback in the classroom is a little bit more challenging in the online environment. Also, with our teachers, they sometimes have 2 or 3 courses for a quarter-time teaching assignment, so that's challenging organizing, teaching multiple splits, and they're not just maybe a split in the same math class. We have teachers who are teaching math and social and English, so you're switching from this gear to that gear.
Like a one-room schoolhouse kind of a thing from back
A one-room
in the day.
schoolhouse, because we are a small school, and we'll have students who are taking one class, and we're offering it to them because we want to provide opportunity for students. And we are lucky. You can't offer in a brick-and-mortar school one class for a student, but you can in an online, or one student in a class, right? So we do have that, but it is a challenge for teachers. So they have unique splits and interesting assignments, but they like that. They like the creativity and the differentiation in their day.
Right. No, that's great, because that really hits home a lot of the things that we've been talking about in class and a lot of the research we have. I'll have to send you our online textbook that we've been looking at. The author's name is Bates, and a lot of things that you hit on there highlight exactly what we talked about in class. So that thank you for that.
Yeah.
So the other question I have here is, what are some pros and cons do you think a student, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit already, a student would have in an online class? Or what are some of the things that you've noticed?
Yeah, for sure. So at the end of every semester, we do survey our students to see their experience. And we get the common pro. The number one for most students is the flexibility it provides. So the online courses do provide students with flexibility where they are able to move at their own pace, and sometimes that's moving more quickly, and some students it's taking more time. And so that is definitely a pro in the online environment for students, is that if there's something that they are able to excel at and move a little bit more quickly, they can. And also too, for those students who need to watch a video 2 or 3 times, they have the opportunity to do that they may not have in a physical classroom. So that flexibility. Also, we do have students who are balancing very busy lives, right? Like they're athletes, or they're have other things going on, and so they're able to flex education and still be successful in education and in other areas of life. So that the flexibility, number one, is the pro. We do have other benefits too. So in life, students are probably going to face online education, whether it is on the job, in post-secondary, and I think it's a really safe space for them to practice, right? So they're supported. My own kids to try that, actually. Yeah, and so it's like we support them through, so they have kind of the supports of, you know, being in high school and us walking them through and kind of practicing, so when they get out of high school, they're able to be successful. So we've had some feedback from students who go on to post-secondary, and they find the ones that take online classes, they found when they were in their first university level class that they were able to navigate, because we use Moodle, the universities typically use Moodle, so they're familiar with the platform, but they're also with the independence that they can manage their time. So they practice that in high school, and when they're in university, and they're able to manage that and to have that independence.
Perfect.
There are cons.
Yeah. Well, I think another pro might be as well is that you guys can offer classes that they just might not have enough kids signed up, especially like in a rural school. I know you guys have some ties into Moose Jaw. Maybe they don't offer calculus class out there. There's only 2 or 3 students, so they don't offer it. But then you can have that online environment to get that class you need. Yeah,
definitely. And that we find a lot of the school divisions that service some of the rural areas, they are absolutely using online education for that. Being an urban school division, we don't have as much, but definitely for sure. For example, core French. Some of the schools within our school division don't offer core French, so students who want to take it have the opportunity to do it through us. They may not have had that chance. Or conflict in timetabling, and again, it's that flexibility, ways to be able to do their education and flex it or access things they may not be able to.
That makes sense.
The flexibility, though, also is can be a con.
Yeah, definitely.
So that independence piece. So, you know, students sometimes take advantage of it and work ahead. And sometimes they take advantage of it and they may fall behind, and that's just a learning piece. So we try our best to support students, but some students do get caught in the flexibility and maybe go in with the misconception that it's a free time and it's
yeah, that happens though in traditional ways, is for sure.
Absolutely too, for sure. And it is just a matter of when students, we find they're struggling and finding ways to support them and help them through that. So
cool. So do you think, I know one piece of information we had is that students can have just the same or even a better experience online than they can have in a traditional class?
Connor Lamer, please go see Madame Benham. Connor Lamer.
Would you agree with that? Is that possibility? Do you think that kids at least have the same they would in a traditional class, rather, and maybe even more in an online environment?
I agree. Like, I know there's definitely research saying that a well-designed online class can be just as beneficial to a student. They learn just as much or even more. I think it's just a matter of meeting the needs of the students, whether it's virtually or in the classroom. And I think that if the online classroom is able to provide good instruction and meaningful feedback and assessment, then it absolutely can be just as engaging, and then sometimes maybe even more so. And if the students needs maybe they need more time, so if they need to be able to watch a video a couple of times, or if they need to have some of those pieces,
they're not restricted by that
time, and so then that way for those students who do need those needs, in that way online could be more beneficial to them in that way. So I think that it's definitely comparable, and I guess depending on the students' needs and the course, it could meet them even more so.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add to our viewers here?
I'm not sure. It's great and be able to, share some online education. I know we talked about the future of online education, and I think that it's definitely, as the platforms have, more capabilities, and we're able to provide different, more engaging tools. I think that we will see it growing, and again, it's definitely an important thing. And I would definitely recommend students try an online class in the high school so they can prepare moving forward out of school.
Well, it's like I just read currently that Ontario, I think, is mandating 4 online classes that they take in their high school years, and I don't know if that will ever happen down here. Do you see that happening maybe, or?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I could definitely see the benefit of doing an online class in high school. There would definitely be some roadblocks to doing that right now, and I think just part of it is just providing the capability of, right now there are lots of online schools within the province, but not all school divisions have access to online education. I think as that grows, that would have to be something that would be addressed before a provincial mandate could be put in place. So,
but you still need a qualified teacher on the other end.
Absolutely.
To do that. You just couldn't hire somebody without an education degree. That's what I hope that, say, Ontario is not doing, is thinking that they can take away teachers' jobs because if they have more online, they could maybe just hire a TA or something to check the boxes. obviously from our discussions, online is way more robust and interactive. And I think a teacher from my studies and talking to you and stuff has to be even more on the ball in order to provide a really good learning environment for students.
Absolutely. Students also need that feedback from a qualified teacher who is able to support them. So if a student is struggling, it's sometimes even more challenging when you don't have the physical contact there on the classroom. So you need to find a different way to explain something. So if they're not able to, or use some of the tools like Blackboard to connect that way. But definitely having a qualified teacher teaching an online class is a key component.
One actually question since I have here. So what is your role as the principal? How is that different from, you think, a regular principal to be the principal in charge of the online school that we have?
That's an interesting question. So my role with the online school, so what I'll do is I will do scheduling, even though it looks very different, and definitely there would be management pieces. We track attendance, we track marks, and working. So a lot of those things that would happen in a physical school, I would also do. We don't have the same, perhaps, discipline that you would have in a physical school, but there would definitely still be some pieces like that as well. And in addition to that, in my role, I would provide professional development for my staff, and making sure that I'm working with the platform, so our Moodle platform, and our background, and providing direction and support for that. So as we move to new Moodle platforms and new things come out, then I would share that information with my staff. So it's similar to what would happen in a physical school. It's just in a different lens, just like how teaching is similar to what happens in physical school, but just with slightly different, right?
So you have like a virtual staff meeting.
We do have physical staff meetings. Our teachers get together, and we do provide physical PD opportunities, because it's important for our teachers to have time to collaborate, because they can feel maybe isolated if they're the only ones, right? And our teachers work at different schools, so to bring them together is important. We have done virtual staff meetings using Blackboard Collaborate and stuff, so we do that, and then also weekly communications and whatnot. And teachers are now balancing teaching for two staffs, and it's an interesting too, because all our teachers are also in the classroom. So I think is important too, because they're able to do both and to bring both worlds together. I think it enhances the classroom component is enhanced by their online time, and I think vice versa.
I'm glad I thought of that question. That was excellent. And that made a lot of sense to me. Well, I appreciate your time, Amy. Thanks so much.
Happy to help.
Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that, and we're out.